I want to start off the system neutral coverage I'm doing here on the channel with something that is a new, I'm going to say hidden gem right now, happening in the TTRPG scene. This is from a creator named Undelved, who I just recently discovered actually came in, I think it was like 9th place in the Knave 2E Game Jam over on Ben Milton's channel. Today we're taking a look at Cave of Cowardice. This is his first independent sort of release aside from what he wrote for the Game Jam. You're going to see from the layout, illustration, and just the overall love and care that goes into this thing. Guys, do not miss out on this creator. I'm sure Undelved is going to pop off as somebody creating like really influential zines here later on. I reached out to Undelved after finding him over on Reddit and asked like, hey, can I show this off on the video? So we're going to be doing a little bit of light scrolling through Cave of Cowardice. I'm not going to show you everything because, of course, go over, support him on Patreon, and you'll be able to pick this up for yourself. I'm going to say straight up, for the layout work I'm seeing on this one, for the concept of what's happening in here, the artwork involved, I don't want to like bury the lead or anything like that. I think it's well worth it. I think this guy is going to just continue to grow and grow and grow. But anyways, let's get over and check out this PDF. First off, this cover. It looks a lot like Plastiboo and some of the stuff that was happening with Vermes. I really love this style. This is like so much more like analog horror-esque, eldritch-y, aberration-ish. I don't know. There's so much I love about this style, whatever we want to call this. It might be an offshoot of webcore or whatever. But anywho, I'm in love with the illustration work all over this stuff. You all are going to see it as we go through this PDF. So here on the second page, cool little end paper right here. Timid, craven creatures who dare not venture up and above. Come seek safe passage in the dark. My understanding is with Cave of Cowardice, this is a quick passage, almost like a side quest that you can throw in whenever the party might not be expecting it, which is really cool. Instead of these kind of like big announced adventures that they know, boom, this is the quest that we're doing. Having something kind of sneak up on them, I don't really see too many people tackle that, actually. So it's really cool to have these incidental quests like this. But getting into the premise of this, God, I just love this illustration work. The Cave of Cowardice is the only safe passage through a much too steep and dangerous mountain. Few brave souls have tried to scale the steep cliff face, but none have lived to tell the tale. Cowarding through the caves is a much simpler matter. Travel through the tunnels, cross the bridge, pay a toll to the demon for safe passage, and be on your way. The tunnels and caves are home to many foul creatures and secrets. Straying far from the main tunnel is ill-advised. Within the mountain's innards dwells Baelgrim, exploiter of cowards. The greedy demon has occupied the cave for centuries, exploiting the travelers wandering through, claiming their treasures, trinkets, and oddities as a toll for safe passage. The clever tries to barter with the demon, while the stubborn or unlucky ends up as permanent decorations within Baelgrim's lair. Deeper within the mountain, the demon's hoard is hidden, told treasures spanning coins, trinkets, and oddities. In an effort to keep the hoard to himself, Baelgrim puts a curse on every single item added to the hoard. Steal something and you're sure to regret it. Further into the tunnels, within a dank, humid cave, lives a tribe of Velkharids. Parasitic as these small humanoids are, they're relying on Baelgrim's safe passage to attract their humanoid prey. Through tricks and ambushes, they force their prey into their cavern, never to be seen again. These poor travelers are all tricked and ambushed by the Velkharids without Baelgrim knowing, and this specific demon hates missing out on trinkets. So with this being more of an incidental quest, we're not really going to see too many like hooks really come up. And this doesn't really need them at all. This is just, again, something you can slide in to any campaign at some random point that you decide, yeah, I want to make the PC's lives miserable here. So going on to the next page, this factions and relation sheet is sick. This is a flow chart that just shows who the different factions are, what the different enemies are, and kind of what their relationships are to others in this dungeon. I'll do a little bit of a zoom in here on the video so you guys can actually see this incredibly cool artwork all throughout. The vision for these different creatures feels so Bloodborne-ian in a way. This is just such a sick look to a book. But all that being said, a good-looking book isn't really anything unless it has serious utility, which this one definitely does. And this is some of the best layout work I have seen in the entire TTRPG industry. Love the artwork. I won't really harp on the artwork too much. I will say though, like having this faction sheet right up front, you're going to see this with a lot more of the like old school essentials style adventures or just system neutral adventures. They want to let you know right up front, hey, here's what you need to know about certain NPCs, why they're even here, what they're doing here, and what their relationships are to others in the dungeon, I guess as we'll say. And this helps you out with roleplay stuff. You can maybe, if you roll up a random encounter and can see these two are like currently in a fight or something like that, it's just one more thing that can get taken off the GM's plate whenever they're trying to run something like this. If GMs want to micromanage that stuff, go for it. But it's nice to have something like this that's here. Using this module, this is where this thing really, really took off for me. I could tell immediately that Undelved was doing something dope here. The dungeon keys, italic text is read aloud when entering the area. Text in bold are things to be interacted with. Things in parentheses require investigation to notice. Text in brackets is strictly GM information. Now, this is all good to have in here. I know with Vagabond, I'm trying to lean in more on using symbols to indicate here's an encounter that's coming up, here's a trap, right? Trying to make it to where these things are a little bit more sight readable, but we'll see with some of the various areas in here. This is super consistent. I think this does an incredible job at laying out what the different room elements are. Aces overall. The light indicators, this is going to be indicated in the actual area description with either natural light with the sun icon, shaded light, or low light with this, half sun, half moon kind of icon, torchlight, bonfire, or candlelight with this flame, darkness with this moon. Whenever we move forward into an area description, boom, right here. They're all indicated with the lights, right? Skipping forward one ahead, you can see the night, right, darkness. This is so sick. What a cool little design right here. For me, I like having the text laid out where it's like, okay, it is darkness, and I just assume most other areas are illuminated, but like, damn, this is slick. That is a very cool, very gorgeous look for this thing overall. The blue box right here, and sorry to jump scare you, but we got to exit full screen to make sure I show this whole next block off really, really well. But the turns and rounds, this is just defining what these terms are going to mean throughout. Turn and round have had different meanings for different systems. I know in Dragonbane, this 10 minutes would be closer to the stretch for what they have there. So just be sure, hey, in this module, this is what they mean, but just interpret it for the system of your choice. And speaking of, there's a whole GM preparation list here for what you need to know as you're going through this thing. Just check off the boxes and make sure, hey, everything kind of works out for the difficulty level of where I'm trying to adjust this for the party. And then also statting the denizens. If the indicated stats do not suffice, do the following. All systems, choose an existing denizen from your system of choice, which matches the concept of the denizen you are statting as closely as possible. Flavor and flesh out the chosen denizen by using the description within this module. And then for the 5e and Pathfinder 2nd edition note, make sure the chosen denizen has a suitable challenge rating for the PCs. Pathfinder and 5th edition, I tend to find that like the thing that tends to work with making sure that the damage structure still works with 5e and Pathfinder is to like just add the hit die count to the overall damage that it deals. And it tends to be okay. It's not like they're going to hit incredibly hard, but it's something that works. He has the random encounter table right up here. Roll 1d8 plus 1d12 every 2 turns, right? Fairly standard MO. But moving forward from there, look at this map. I'm blown away by how sick this looks. It kind of has that vintage. I wouldn't even say that this has any sort of a vintage old school feel. This is something that feels like it does feel like it has that classic kind of pulpy comic vibe to it. And God, what is a sick style. The thing I want to highlight on this though is that this map is actually interactive. So let's say I wanted to go really quick and see underwater tunnel. Oh, what's that? Well, I can click right here and it's going to take me to that page with that room. Now, if I wanted to go back to that, the other cool thing is he's hyperlinked it all back to the original map. So it will show me where this stuff is throughout the entire book. This is so sick. This is a great, you want to talk about real accessibility stuff. This is an actual accessibility tool right here. This is such incredible utility in this single PDF. I just realized I've had alerts on this whole time. I really hope that hasn't been showing the entire time, but hey, what do you know? Yeah, go check out Vagabond. But the hyperlinked PDF here is absolutely sick. This is something that, like, yes, Stockholm Cartel was doing with Merkborg. Seeing it here and seeing it out in the wild, that people are actually adopting this stuff and implementing it to their PDFs. Dude, this is absolutely sick. bravo. I am unbelievably impressed with this, especially from someone who, I guess this is only your second outing in the TTRPG industry. The second thing you've ever made has this kind of pro level polish on it. Dude, this is absolutely disgustingly cool. Again, scrolling ahead just to show off some of this incredible artwork in here. Now, here's my deal. I have not really been a big fan of the direction of the hyper realistic or sort of like League of Legends style artwork that I've been seeing with games like 5e or Pathfinder, and I'm way happier to see somebody that has like their own unique style, just executing on that perfectly in a book, embracing it, and just being like, you know what, this is me. This is what I can do. This very like, this feels so. I don't know that bespoke is the right word. It's like this just feels so like comfy in a way. Which is really funny because I criticize some of the artwork for feeling too comfy in D&D, but I don't know. There's something about this that feels, it just feels like homemade dinner. I don't know how to put it. This is just such a cool look, and I love the, like I said, the Plastivoo sort of pixelation pseudo. I think this is like what, a vivid light or hard mix style blending mode in Photoshop, maybe. Whatever this pattern overlay is, I don't know. I got to get that off of you, Undelved. This is sick. I'm trying to find spreads just to show you guys how sick this stuff looks, but in all reality, every single spread looks incredible. I'd be super happy to show this off in video, but like I said, please go check out his Patreon. The final boss, Baelgrim. Oh god, I just love this style. This has so much heart, dude. This has a unique type of mechanic in the boss fight where it's literally you are trying to give him goods in order to like interact with the guy, right? But there is a bit more of a game to that in essence, because as a demon of greed, this had to have some sort of a mechanical expression in the boss fight, which is sick. Kind of feels a bit like what Dungeon Crawl Classics does with their adventures, where all the different boss fights feel like they have their own gimmick to it. The dungeons may not really all have a gimmick specifically, but the boss itself has these unique little timers or different interactions and maybe progress clocks that'll tick down throughout the boss fight. But you're just kind of engaging with the combat in a different way with like DCC adventures that it feels like he's getting a crossover in here. And God, it just, every time I look at this thing, I'm just so stoked, dude. Like, I love this guy's illustration style. Here in the bestiary, he's actually getting a bit more detailed than what I've seen some other more system neutral guys kind of do, which is, it's totally fine. The artwork, again, I'm going to keep saying that this guy's illustrations are just sick. I just love how haunting this all feels. I would say whenever I'm looking at like maybe going in a more system neutral area, some of the terms like AC, I really like what Charles Ferguson Avery does, and I've tried to adopt that as much as I can with Vagabond, and that's to list that the AC is like as leather or as chain or as plate, because that can be determined for a lot more systems a lot more broadly, whereas AC14, well, that AC14 is like, it's okay in like 5e, but in something like Basic Expert, that's actually pretty good. We're talking about you're wearing chainmail at that point, right? I think in 5e, this is still like something you could easily achieve with like light armor. The hit dice count right here, it gives an overall kind of recommended hit points. You can choose whether to or not to use that. It's not scaling off of 4.5 like most of the Basic Expert derivatives do. It's instead just going with 4. That might be more towards Knave, but I'm not 100% on that. Go check this guy out. If you can't support him on Patreon, at least go give him a follow on social media, because I promise you, this dude is just now starting to fucking cook. All right. I am so looking forward to what this guy makes happen in the future. I'm personally happily supporting him over on Patreon just to see what happens. All right. So that is going to be it for Cave of Cowardice from Undelved. This has been a real quick look. I've only shown you maybe about like 10% of this thing. So please go check it out. He also has another one available over on his itch page, I believe, that I'll link all that stuff down in the description below. Let me know what you all think about this format. If you want to see more system neutral stuff, I'm happy to cover it, especially because there's just so much cool. There's so much cool stuff happening in this. I think as Jordan called it, like a hacker space. There are so many creative minds that are out there making just absolutely killer shit like this. So anyways, like I said, links are going to be all in the description below. A huge shout out to my Patreon sponsors. Thank you all so much for helping me keep the lights on around here and coffee in my blood. You all are absolute heroes. And by the way, if you want to help me to kind of bring some of my zines to life, we are doing a pre-sale on the zines that I will be printing in spring. So if you want to get in on the Vagabond Basic Heroes Handbook, Ghost Crest Peak, that is my kind of system neutral take on White Plume Mountain, which I'll have a video on that one coming out soon. Wet Dreams that I've written, and then I'm actually publishing Pablo DePina's Downward Spiral of the Lost. This is the one that won our 5-room dungeon jam. So I'm stoked to have all this out there. Go check that all out. Anyways, hope you all are staying safe, staying healthy, and I will see you in the next one.